Hello, sorry, had to log off for a bit due to the unstable internet connection, but welcome back to Wellness Wave Deep Dive with Dr. Trishala. And this topic, I think, is the need of the hour. And I'm so privileged that I have a neurophysiotherapist on board with this to talk about such an important topic, which is digital overload and how it is affecting our cognitive health, how is it affecting our interactions with people. So without wasting any time, I'm adding Dr. Khushboo. 9 p.m. is actually my bedtime. So people who know me know this, that this is not me. So I'm without wasting time, I'm just getting Dr. Khushboo on board. Dr. Khushboo.
Hey, we have you back. Yes, perfect.
Better now?
Much
Okay.
better, Doc. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a very, I was just sharing with them that this is a very new timing of live sessions for me. And, 9 p.m. is actually the new bedtime for me. But I think before we all kick off for the festive season, it's good to do this live. So,
Yes.
so Dr. Khushboo, can you please introduce yourself? What do you do? Where do you practice? Quickly, so that our viewers can know a bit about you.
Yes, sure. So, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Khushboo Gada. I am a physiotherapist and I have specialized in neurophysiotherapy. So, lots of people have not heard about neurophysiotherapist. So, everyone must have heard about orthophysiotherapy or sports physiotherapy, but very few people know about physiotherapy as a specialty for neurological conditions. But I would say that it's actually the most important kind. I wouldn't say that it's the most important, but it is definitely important because in any disease state, brain is the first thing to get affected. A simple thing like pain in the shoulder will also have some implications on our brain and our mind as well. So, as a neurophysiotherapist, how I work with patients is improving their strength, whatever weaknesses they must be having due to the neurological condition that they are going through, improving their strength, improving their day-to-day activities, independence in day-to-day activities through exercises. So, there is no special brain stimulation that we do. It's mainly exercises that we make the patient do so that it helps them to overcome the condition that they are going through and they can be more independent. So we see cases like stroke, paralysis, Parkinson's disease. We also see cases like spinal cord injury or neuropathy. We see small children with different developmental issues. So this is what we do as neurophysiotherapists. Now, what is coming up is that we also have started dealing with cognitive component of physiotherapy as well. So cognitive may then everything comes. The way the brain thinks, the execution, how to execute a particular task, because it has a lot to do with how they do their day-to-day activities. So a person with who has a brain stroke will have weakness on one side of the body, but along with that, he will also have some planning difficulty. I have to pick up a glass of water from the table. So to plan that, to execute that will also be difficult for the person, along with simple weaknesses in the muscle. So we have
Got
also
it.
started dealing with the cognitive component of physiotherapy of neurological conditions, and it's a very good evolving field that is coming now,
Oh,
and I'm really
absolutely.
yes.
I mean, for anybody, coming out of any injury, I mean, I had a terrible shoulder injury last year, and forget the physical strength. I mean, it took me forever to just come out of the idea of not having the pain again or living without the pain. So, I mean, that's a first-hand experience that I've had. So thank you for being there to take care of that aspect. It's not just the physical health, your emotional health, your brain health also matters equally. So let's dig into the topic, Dr. Khushboo. Our topic is digital overload and cognitive decline. ये हम बहुत ज्यादा देख रहे हैं कि जितना ज्यादा हम कंटेंट को कंज्यूम करने की कोशिश करते हैं उतना ज्यादा हमारी मेमोरी, हमारा बिहेवियर अफेक्ट हो रहा है. सो व्हाट इज डिजिटल ओवरलोड एंड हाउ डू यू थिंक इट्स अफेक्टिंग आवर डेली लाइव्स?
Okay, so first of all, let's try to understand memory. So memory, normally how it is divided. There are different kinds of memory. So अगर किसी ने Bollywood movies देखे होंगे, so there are a lot of characters who go through an accident, and they have some memory loss that happens to them. So usually it's the short-term memory. Short-term means whatever has happened in the last maybe 3 to 4 months in their lifespan gets affected, but they can definitely remember a lot of long-term events that are there. So why does it happen that only short-term gets affected and long-term they are still able to remember? So there are three kinds of memories. One is called as the working memory, which they also call as the sensory memory. So again, I'll come back to that because that is the most important component of today's discussion that we'll be having. Second is the short-term memory, and third is the long-term memory. So long-term memory is something that you remember 20 years back or something. You remember some event which happened 20 years back in your life. That is a long-term memory. Short-term memory would be something that happened in the last 1 year or maybe 6 months to 1 year ka span. And working memory slash sensory memory is right now, abhi ka memory. Like right today itself, maybe in the last 1 hour, whatever has been going on in my schedule, that is something which comes in the sensory slash working memory. So coming to the digital overload. So they say that when we are on our phones or working on our laptops or doing any kind of activities on the digital technological machines, we are blocking all the five senses. The five senses that are obviously the hearing, the eyes, the nose, the taste, and the touch. These are the five senses which are there. We block all five of them. Now people will say कि vision तो block नहीं होता, हम वैसे भी screen को देखते हैं. But vision also means that you are seeing something, you are taking it, you are absorbing it inside your brain, you are processing it, and it gets converted to a long-term memory. So
it's consuming, right? It's consuming.
Yes.
Like how you eat food and then everything happens inside your system. It's similarly that you're consuming content through your eyes, and that's how your body is taking it up. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So technology does that to us. All five senses of our system are basically numb for that period of time that we are on our technology. And because this happens, the first part of memory, which is the sensory memory, is not utilized to its maximum. And which is why we are facing so many memory issues that, okay, 1 घंटे पहले आज lunch के लिए क्या खाया हमने, वही मतलब you are taking almost 15 to 20 seconds to remember what I had for lunch today. So that happens when the digital overload is happening on your system. And that is the first sign of trouble, that you're not able to remember something which happened 3 to 4 hours ago.
It's a sign.
Yes, it's a sign that there is something going on. Another factor that I would say is that we are on our phone. So what are the main things that we do when we are on our phones? We are on chatting, WhatsApp or chatting or Messenger. We are on social media, and we are consuming content like watching reels, watching videos, or listening to something.
Empty scrolling.
So yeah, the mindless scrolling. Yes. So these are the things that we do on our phone. Phone जिसके लिए actually बना है, which is to actually connect to someone long distance
Correct.
for something that is actually not being utilized a lot. So we do these things, and these are passive things. So imagine that if you actually go back and check your digital well-being section of the phone, you will find that believe it or not, you are actually spending 7 to 8 hours on your phone in a day. That's the average span which almost everybody spends on their phone.
And
If you
have you
actually go back
seen
and
it go up post-COVID, post-pandemic?
yeah, definitely it has gone up because there's a lot more content consumption at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Correct. So,
Hmm.
I mean, even it didn't even strike me that actually our senses are off, when we are doing something. So now when you're telling me, I'm thinking about it, and बहुत बार ऐसे
Hmm.
होता है when mama is coming and asking me कि तुझे सुबह तो खाया था, अभी तुझे वापस क्यों खाया था, अच्छा ओके हाँ खाया था. It's not just kind of empty scrolling, but our work involves so much of being on the media, of facing the camera, talking to the patients, so it's become too much of digital overload without me even, consciously thinking about it. So, I mean, I'm so glad that you're saying this, but Dr. Khushboo, why is it affecting our decline actually? Why is our brain health actually getting different? क्या हो रहा है? क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा?
So that's what happens that suppose you don't use a particular muscle of your body. Now, for example, biceps ही ले लो, like elbow को bend करने का function है उसका.
Correct.
Now, for example, 3 days. I would say 3 days is also a lot, but even 3 days, if I just keep my hand straight, I don't bend from my elbow at all, that muscle is going to rapidly atrophy. It will become stiff. It won't move after 3 days of finally moving it out of that position.
वो सुन
So
हो
this,
जाती है, एकदम नम हो
yeah,
जाती है, सुन हो जाती है.
yes. So this is what happens in our brain as well. Our brain is made out of a collection of neurons, and even though people say that your brain stops growing after a certain age, it's not true at all. There is continuous synaptic pathways that are getting generated and regenerated, cut off. There's something called as pruning, which we say. So there is constant pruning which is happening in our brain because with our experiences, there are different pathways which are being formed. So when for a brief, maybe 1 hour also, if we are cutting off the five senses, those pathways are not being generated. And when they are not being generated, so then there is something called as cell death, which happens. So then that is when the neurons die and they are not able to have that function of uh, doing that particular activity. So that
Okay.
is why the decline starts happening.
Doc, we have to make it easier for our layman population to understand. So it's like wire का गुच्छा है और वो सारी wires एक साथ में connected है. If we are switching it on with one single switch, हो सकता है कि वो वायर ना चले, हो सकता है कि उसमें से कुछ शॉर्ट हो जाए, उसमें से कुछ ना चले, पूरा बंद पड़ जाए, right? So this is also constantly happening with our brain, that अगर हम इतना कंटेंट जब कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, ये जो पाथवेज है, वो स्विच है, वो ढंग से चल नहीं रहा है, तो वो एक एक करके वायर को खराब कर रहा है. So we'll have to entangle it, we'll have to get a new wire which is easier when we are doing it outside. But जब ये ब्रेन में चल रहा है, उसको उतना रिकवर करना is very difficult. So I mean, this is what I'm sure Dr. Khushboo is trying to say, and that's what leads to cognitive decline. Dr. Khushboo, what are the common signs that people should see ki now the digital overload is actually taking up on them? So one of that you said is forgetting what you had for lunch or what meal you had. What are the other signs that people have to actually take into consideration?
Mood swings will be very important. So, some notification has come on their phone, someone has sent a message to them. सबसे पहले तो कोई अगर मैसेज करता है आपको, तो यू आर नॉट एबल टू इंटरप्रेट द इमोशंस बिहाइंड इट. सो वो मैसेज रीड करके सडनली मूड स्विंग होना, लाइक एंगर आना या फिर अपसेट हो जाना. So if you are immediately going from happy mood to an upset mood in just a few seconds, that means that वो जो emotional regulation, जो emotional capacity है आपका, that is also getting affected. So you are not able to rationally think कि नहीं इसका मतलब कुछ और हो सकता है. So this is another thing which happens. And actually अगर कोई अल्जाइमर्स के पेशेंट को देखे या any other patient who is having memory loss, mood swings will also be another factor that will be present inside them. Any situation, any normal situation comes in front of them, they freak out and they start going out of control from there. So that is another sign that can come across.
So one you said is the short-term memory, that you're completely, forgetting
Yes.
what just happened, and then it comes back to us. It's not like
Yes.
we've completely forgotten what we had for lunch. So that's one. And second is mood swings, and it's not just in the behavior, also in the expressions. So the moment you're reading something, your face can tell a lot about you. And if you're unable to deal with it, or you're getting like a palpitation, or there's a bit of panic attack happening, or you suddenly feel uncomfortable, very hot sitting in a room, that is a sign that whatever you just saw on the phone has taken over your nervous system, taken over your entire brain. So if this is happening very frequently, it becomes very easy for your body to adapt to this. So what I just explained in terms of palpitations and all, these are more to do with the flight response, right? ये सब हमारे लिए बनाए गए थे ताकि हम स्ट्रेस से डील कर पाए, लेकिन आजकल जो कंटेंट हम कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं वही हमारा स्ट्रेस बन गया है, which has become like a big thing. And I think that's also contributing a lot when we talk about cognitive decline. What do you think, Dr. Khushboo?
Yes, definitely. Like पहले के जमाने में, like if you go to see the Stone Age zamana, people used to get that flight and fight mode when some wild animal used to come or their enemies to enter their territory. Now we are getting the flight and fight response just sitting on our chairs and being on our phone.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and that happens 100 times a day because that many hours spent on our phones or on our devices. वो इतनी बार हो रहा है, मतलब वो पहले के जमाने में 1 या 2 बार दिन में होता था, अभी 100 बार हो रहा है. So like just see the proportion.
It's the change.
So
yeah. And post pandemic, Dr. Khushboo, what's happened is हमें इतनी आदत पड़ गई है ना कंटेंट कंज्यूम करने की कि अब शायद उसके बिना हम लाइफ भी इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते. So if you sit without your phone for 10 minutes, आपको ऐसा लगेगा you have actually lost a lot in your life in those 10 minutes. Because you're not consuming the content. So that anxiety, that struggle between the relationships, unable to talk while sitting in the same room, I think it's happening a lot. And that's also affecting your cardiac health. So while we are attributing these, the recent splurge in the cardiac arrest, right? I mean, so many people are actually getting closer to getting heart attacks. A lot of it also has to do with this. It also has to do with the digital overload. It's not just कि over exercise कर लिया या कम खाया या sleep सही से नहीं हुई थी. It's also living in this stress mode all the time is somewhere affecting the entire body. And I think it's high time for us to start differentiating that how do we actually want to deal with this. And I'm sure you are seeing more patients getting closer to the decline at a very young age, and even I'm seeing the same. But do you think there is any particular age group population which is getting into the cognitive decline a lot more than the other set of population?
So I would definitely say that cognitive decline would be more prone after the age of 60. But nowadays, even the young population, which you can say about 20, is also facing that decline in cognitive skills. मेरा खुद का ही example मैं दे दूंगी myself. Like I don't have any shame in admitting that. When I had just started my own practice, suddenly having the whole shift from someone being there to guide you or you working under someone and the responsibility being on their shoulders, and suddenly making the switch to a private practice, your own. So you are now the responsible person and you are the one to make all the decisions. So it was not very easy. In the start, I would literally park my car somewhere, and after 5 seconds, I would go to my clinic and wonder, okay, where did I park my car? So that was the amount of stress which I went through at that stage. But because I understood that I am facing some kind of a memory problem right now, I was able to. It was very acute. मतलब वो बहुत अभी एक दो दिन में ही हुआ था. So I immediately understood and I corrected myself and I started, immediately having these stress mechanisms in place to correct that and to help myself. So as young as 28 years also can face that memory problem and cognitive decline. So I would say that it can affect anybody because now 4-year-old child is also given a device to work on. So
Four is I think you've still gone 4 years ahead. I'm seeing a 6-month toddler actually watching the screen and watching the match, and people are putting that on Instagram. They feel great about doing that with their child, but it's important for them to understand that even they are going through the digital overload. They don't have to be an adult on Instagram or any social media to scroll through it. That's so brave of you to accept it on a social media platform, Dr. Khushboo. And I know it's taken a lot of courage to come up and say this, but we all go through this. Just because we have doctors in front of our name, we have certain degrees in front of our name, ऐसा नहीं है हमारे साथ नहीं होता है, हमारे साथ भी होता है. बस फर्क इतना होता है कि हमें पता चल जाता है कि something is not right at a very early stage, so we know what to correct. So now that I talk about correction, what are some practical tips that you actually give to your patients, or you would like to suggest to people who are watching and who will be watching our video later to deal with the cognitive decline and the digital overload? Because digital overload kahin jaane wala nahi hai. Over the years wo sirf badhne hi wala hai. All we have to work on is improving how to deal with it. So what are few practical tips that you would like to give our viewers, Dr. Khushboo?
So before that, I have to mention the third cause also of cognitive decline, which I came across. So the third one is no movement and no healthy sensory input, which is coming in. So there are 3 stages of learning. Whenever we learn something new, like as a student also, if we are learning maths or science or anything, we are learning something in school, there are 3 stages. One is the first time that we actually come across that information. Means today we learned that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Okay, so today is the first time that our teacher has taught us that. Now, second stage is us going back home and practicing it repeatedly by writing it 100 times. So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, writing it 100 times. And finally, the third stage is कि मुझे नींद में से उठा लिया और किसी ने पूछा 2 plus 2 क्या होता है. So I immediately say that it is 4. So that is the automatic stage. So these are the 3 stages which are there whenever we are learning something new. So there is no first stage happening nowadays, except for our work or our job. What else do we actually learn nowadays? Are we doing any extracurricular activities? Saturday, Sunday holiday मिला तो उस दिन सिर्फ Netflix कर लिया या कहीं पे घूमने चले गए. But are we learning something new? No. So that is the third thing which is really affecting our cognitive decline as well. Because our brain also needs that exercise. It needs that input to come in from outside so that it can grow and it can help us to maintain our memory.
उसको भी तो खाना चाहिए.
हाँ.
अगर बॉडी को चाहिए तो ब्रेन को भी तो खाना चाहिए. सो वो करना भी उतना ही जरूरी है. कि आजकल लोगों का अनवाइंडिंग टाइम होता है नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल, एंड पता नहीं फॉर सम रीजन वो मेरा कभी नहीं हो पाया है. माय अनवाइंडिंग टाइम इज chill and sleep at 9 o'clock. so this has always been, and I think also because while growing up, I have grown up in an environment where I was not allowed to use digital, or I was not allowed to get exposed to these things. So I think वो automatically आ जाता है. और I'm a breakfast person. You take me for a breakfast, but the moment you tell me कि चल आज dinner पे जाते हैं, I'm going to be the first person to back out of it. Okay, so it's how you also deal with it and develop with it. So coming back to the question, Dr. Khushboo, that how do you practically deal with it? So one you said is that you get some movement, do something else. But what else
Yeah.
to do when we are practical tips कि कहीं जाने वाला नहीं है, digital overload life में रहने वाला है. How do we deal with it? What do we do?
Okay, so there are some apps which are there which completely give you a notification. In fact, Instagram itself gives you notification that today you have crossed 1 hour of scrolling. So
that
there
you have
are a
to
lot
activate, huh? That you have to activate. In
yes,
iPhone,
that
you
you
have
have
to
to
activate it.
practically apply and activate it. Yes.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of apps which are available now which help you to immediately make you feel guilty कि आज 1 घंटा cross हो चुका है. चलो let's switch it off and now let's
Correct.
just only use it when it is absolutely important. Another thing is कि okay, you use your phone for work. Keep having a separate phone for just work, which you keep at your workplace and come back home is also another very easy to apply tip that I would say. Lots of people they come to my clinic for some treatment, like elbow ka treatment करने आए हैं, and with every 30 seconds they check their phone for any new notification which is coming. No, go to office and then check your phone for the notification. When you are doing something else, when you're with your family or eating or any other activity for yourself, do not have your work with you at that time.
Yeah. So that helps. And I think also, like you said a few minutes back, Dr. Khushboo, that get in some hobbies, learn something new. Your brain
Yes.
needs these things to constantly upgrade. Your brain needs to learn new things to adapt to the new environment. And this is what me and my girls have started is learning and doing a new activity every single weekend. So कभी pottery चले गए, कभी painting चले गए, जिसमें भी digital involved नहीं होता है. And I think that's really helped me boost my creativity. So I think that is also one of them.
Your screen has frozen, Dr. Trishala.
I think your internet connection seems to be a little poor. I can see you very blurry. Anyways, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly get to the towards the end of this.
Yes.
And what are the long-term consequences that we can expect if digital overload continues to be a widespread issue?
Long term, I would say that lots of people nowadays are ending up with psychological illnesses. As young as 20-year-old also ending up with anxiety, panic attacks, stress, depression. Currently I have a 55-year-old auntie who has early onset Alzheimer's because she was really upset about her daughter leaving for abroad studies, and because of that she used to constantly be on her phone checking if her daughter is doing okay every 10, 15, 20 minutes, just going and again and again calling her daughter to understand if she's doing okay or not, if she is doing well, checking her messages constantly. And then eventually she developed depression and moved on to get Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's as well. So this is the long-term consequence that you can see in your future if from now on only you are facing these symptoms and signs of cognitive decline.
Oh my God, 55. I mean, it's not even an age that we talk about Alzheimer's, right? Alzheimer's, agar hota hai, so we just keep, hello, Dr. Ramesh, he's saying hi. Hello. So, I mean, 55 कुछ भी age नहीं है यार to get Alzheimer's. So अगर ये चीज अभी improve नहीं की गई, I think Dr. Khushboo ये 55, 45, 35 बहुत जल्दी बन जाएगा. So if we have to give a takeaway from this session, that 5 tips, practical suggestions that you would like to give our viewers away from this session, what would that be? Number one?
Number one, keep something like a soul Sunday. So Sunday usually everyone has an off. So just keep it for yourself. Indulge in activities which are offline. Go for a retreat which emphasizes on yoga or meditation, or just spend time with your family, clean the house, or read a book or something. Number two would be just have that alarm on your phone that gives you that notification that you have crossed the number of hours of digital media. Number three would be important to follow a good nutrition as well, because nutrition, gut health is linked to memory and brain health. Number four would be to learn a new activity once in a while. So right now I am also learning a new dance form, which is new for me and which is very good for my brain. So that 1 hour I'm just shutting off from every digital media and just indulging in learning something new. And number five will be just connect to your friends, connect to your family, and build that emotional bond with them, because there's nothing like a good emotional connection with your loved ones.
Absolutely. I think these are 5 tips that are doable. It's not like a pravachan which people cannot do. I think it's definitely doable. In fact, what I do is I try to keep twice a week where my screen time is minimum. So thanks to iPhone, you get this feature where you exactly know what has your screen time been all through the week. So even though Monday to Friday, because I'm working, if the screen time is high, at least twice a week, one midweek, one at the end of the week, I try to give myself that minimum number of hours. And by Sunday, I try to achieve this, that my entire screen time says down by 30% or down by 20%. And it's not like I indulge in some other screen time or some other things. I'm trying to do something which is journaling, pottery, blah, 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 so many things to just make sure that I'm not just stuck to my phone and getting as much sleep as possible, keeping the phone away. I think phone is secondary for me, sleep is first. So prioritizing things is very, very important. I think it's easier for us to do this. And while we cannot do anything about the digital overload that's going up, I think we can definitely learn different ways to manage it. So also what we will do is, Dr. Khushboo, give them these tips in the written form as a post, so that they have this handy, that इतना लाइव कर रहे हैं रात को 9 बजे, बोलना क्या चाहते हैं, ताकि वो एटलीस्ट हमारे टेक अवेज को स्टार्ट करें वर्क करना as soon as possible. So that was amazing. It was lovely to have you here, Dr. Khushboo. Do you have any comments that you would like to give towards the end?
No, that's it. I think we have already spoken quite a lot in the last half an hour. And I would just say that, anything, just reach out to, a functional medicine doctor like Dr. Trishala and understand what are your triggers and where you can work on for yourself.
Yeah, just take help, guys. And neurophysiotherapy is here. It's relatively a new field, but it's not a new medical term that's evolved, right? It was always there in the system. It's just that people are getting to know a bit more about it. So please take help. You don't have to suffer. You have a lot of things to do. Please take your first step, and you see the universe is actually going to guide you. So this was amazing, Dr. Khushboo. I'm so glad we could do this right before we all sign off for Diwali. So guys, have a digital free Diwali. Please spend time with your loved ones without the phones. Yeah, click your pictures, make memories. All of that is perfect. But while you are away from office, away from work, there's no fun in simply Instagram scrolling. I think being fun with the family during Diwali, during the festive season, is really interesting. So wishing you guys a very, very happy Diwali. And I will be back with another session post Diwali, and I'll be signing off for my break too. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and the people who will be watching this after the live is done. It's Dr. Khushboo. She's the founder of Fitfully Yours Physiotherapy. and I hope I pronounced that right, Dr. Khushboo. I will be tagging her details. She's all over social media. You can find her very easily. So in case you need it, please reach out to her. Get your brain health sorted. Take care. Good night. Bye,
Okay.
Dr. Khushboo.
Everyone. Thank you, Dr.